We're now recording. And we're here. Hi, my name is Mike Cornwell. Welcome to this podcast. We're just going to do we're going to talk about the sources sought we've been working on. Not one in particular, but our process for working on sources sought, which is a little bit unique, and you'll find out why. And also a system that we've been building behind the scenes to help us, take this thing to the next level. And so Tyler's with me. He's got his handy dandy computer. And we were having a pretty good conversation earlier about sources sought and how we're going to process them. And so a really new development with our company is, we're a technology company. And so with technology, you're always trying to take things and move them faster. If you got a repeatable process, then systematize that with computers and then move on to doing more. And so what ends up happening is I'm getting ready to say I'm a big believer in, but it's kind of more than that, Tyler, because it's not that I'm a big believer in automating processes. I've literally seen things where 3 people were now doing the work of 2,000 people. And so after you see that and you're starting to get a glimpse of this.
Personal experience for you.
Yeah, it's no, it's real. It's not it's believing I have a bed in my room. I have a bed in my room.
Yeah, you've personally experienced
so
it.
when you see those things, all of a sudden you see you have new problems. Your problems they're richer. They're more, you're actually getting to the real problem when you don't realize with most of this stuff dealing with computers, you're not really dealing with the real problem. There's all these things that get to the point. And so we're finding out, we basically built a automated system to pull down sources sought, to summarize them pretty deeply.
Yep.
And we got more we actually need to start pulling out of them. Then we take our business profile and we mesh it against each one of those sources sought. So instead of the normal way, doing sam.gov, which you can speak a lot about, if you want to find the things that are out there, you really only have 2 choices. One, you have to read all of them.
Yep.
Because you can look at every single sources sought that come out today. That's 150 a day. Can you imagine doing that, Tyler?
No.
So even the people at sam.gov, they don't want you to do that either. So they give you some filtering tools. But the filtering tools are terrible.
It's a little bit broken of a system.
They're pretty broken. So the only thing you really can do is search NAICS codes and keywords. The keywords are irrelevant. You're just in 2025. We don't have a lot of time to go on this, but it's getting harder and harder to communicate with everybody on planet Earth. And the keywords are trying to match words that we're all using less and less and less.
Yes.
They could be asking, if you're a government office right now and you're seeing this, you could literally be asking for experts at containers and containerization. But if you don't put containers, Docker, Kubernetes, if you don't hit all of those keywords, the people who might be using keywords, if they don't use one of those, you won't have a match. Then you put an S on one of those and you don't put the S or the vice versa and you don't get it. So the keywords are crap. So
it's very specific and it's hard to find it if it's that specific.
No, yeah.
It's borderline impossible.
And there's too much. So what you end up having to have is maybe, a monstrosity of a 5,000, 10,000 word keyword list to maybe hit it. Maybe that could help. And even then that's not true because we're seeing a lot of stuff where it's we need IT services. Are you able to serve this, that, and the other? Those people could do that. They don't have keywords for that. So we decided to do something about it. We built this system that we kind of call GoveyNet. And just the general gist is it uses AI to go and do all this kind of stuff. And so now, that's all the background. Now getting on to the topic. What we were doing was we were going through the results and we were kind of validating yay or nay on much of the results. And not only does the thing go and find, the matches for you, but it will also start to answer the questions based on all of the information you give it about your company and what you're looking for. And it will take, everything that they gave you and everything about your business and everything that you tell it about, and it will smush it together and it will try to answer all the questions. And sometimes, since we put this together, it's pretty, it's been interesting. There's been more than once where I've seen something where I was like, that's a really good idea. I want that idea. And it's funny. So Tyler was mentioning earlier that you were mentioning that like on some of them, it makes us a little uneasy because it will answer like, how much do you think that this contract is worth?
Yes.
How much does it?
It does make you a little uneasy.
It makes it uneasy because you're like, okay, it's saying 1 to 1.3 million, and it's like, how did you come up with that?
Yep.
So I think that's probably one of our big things is like, because obviously we're going through every single question and making sure it's a legitimate answer.
Yeah, I personally review them.
Yeah, so we're going through that, so it's not like we're just firing for effect. That'd be just pretty funny, but.
I must say the AI does. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I couldn't have come up with that well myself. So, it's pretty amazing how it generates.
just before this, I'm very sensitive to like if it doesn't work, I want to get it fixed. I want to get as far as I can go. I do know there's diminishing returns. We're nowhere near diminishing returns yet. But we solved like 60% of the problem. But we got that other meaty 20, maybe 40%. The next 20, 30% is really going to be easy. It might take one more week to get it up to that level. But once you start getting past like 80%, like earlier it was like, can we make the tool answer? They want the answers in the Excel. Can we make the tool answer it in the Excel? And it's like, maybe. Really complicated because we could like automate it. And it's like, here it is in Excel format. It's not your Excel with the answers in there. Because for one, I can't get, I'd have to go look at some other specialized tools. So it's like that task becomes like that whole task could take a week.
Yeah, I understand.
And how many have we seen of that? 1 out of 50?
Yeah, it's just not worth it.
So
as long as it's answering those questions, that's pretty useful.
So
not necessarily the formatting.
And in that particular case, it wasn't finding those because we didn't do Excel sheets. I didn't know about it when I did that. I tried to handle like text files and PDFs and docx's, and I was like, dude, I'm like high-fiving God because I'm like, dude, this totally works. It's taking all the data down. It doesn't do pictures, but it can.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I want to see you get to the point where we need to get to the point where we actually see pictures where we need to see and like evaluate it. I don't know if we've seen anything like that yet. I just know that it's out there looking at, hey, summarize this toilet paper contract.
Yeah.
It's doing that stuff too. But
it's been a lifesaver. There's no just how amazing it is. It's just mind blowing.
Now, what's funny? What's funny is Tyler came to me like it was like 40 minutes before we started this, and was just like, okay, let's go through all these problems. So we're going through, and he's like, this question, it's nowhere in there, and it's like it was in deeply nested Excel. These are the questions you're supposed to answer, bro. How is anyone supposed to answer that?
I was impressed it picked up on that.
That's part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast.
Yeah,
because I want to rant about the world because I want to like raise people's awareness of what's happening, and they're not understanding how crazy things are, dude. How was anyone going to answer that?
I have no idea because it wasn't even in question format.
They even tell you no. It wasn't. They invented their own structure.
It wasn't.
And admittedly, once we knew what this thing was, it's like, oh, okay, then they've got like a rubric, and so they're trying to use a specific system of going. They answer the question. Here's the response value, and then add it up, and then they even had like a weighting, and so they'll give you. You know what we can do, Tyler? Actually, what I want to do, kind of fun, is extract the information out. Get our business profile, throw it onto XAI, and then have it rate us.
Oh, wow. I'd like to see that.
Because, dude, it can do it. That's the kind of
interesting theory.
So, in other words, like it will be able to see the grading rubric, take the questions, and then put it together, and it will tell us.
It's an interesting concept.
It would give us an estimate. It would give us an estimate of what they're going to give us. You're a 60, you're an 80, you're a 10.
And then that only helps us improve the system.
No,
it's that kind of stuff.
It won't help us improve the system because that's one entity.
Well, I mean,
that's the problem with some of that stuff.
I agree. But overall, just as much information as I can give you, it does help the overall
They do this. So they do that. Every single one of these offices does this. They're always
all a little different.
Well, they're all doing it for their own kind of unique needs, and their needs are kind of all the same. but they're trying to get a grasp and understanding of whether or not this contractor is a better match. That's what all of this is.
Yeah, it's market research.
But there's other ways to do it. You know how they could do it? The inverse of what GovNet's currently doing.
Okay.
They could do the exact same thing. Hey, give us as much information on your business. Give us all your this and that. Just tell us everything about your business.
True.
And then it will identify. And then maybe ask it the questions. And then on their side, they get their AI where they go, this is what we really want. We really want this. This is our weighting. 30% on this, 20% on this. And then here's the rubric, or whatever. And then apply it to it, and they will answer it.
Personally, I wish it was the other way around. I really do. I think that it would be a more accurate way for them to pick people. Look at what the business has accomplished.
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes it's like, let's just answer these because we're trying to help them with market research. But I think inverse would be better. But we can't change that. But maybe one day, there would be a tool that will help them pick out.
My thoughts on that was, I was like, if we were to take this tool and bring it out of our, the deep depths of our proprietary facility here, it could make sense to sell it to SAM.gov.
It makes more sense. After reviewing this for months, I think it does.
I mean, to me, SAM.gov. Now, there's some problems with maybe some costs involved, but SAM.gov, you should go on there. You should fill out all the information. Give us as much information as you want. And this thing would then, on their side, they could go, tell me the ones that are out there. The only reason I would say that it's not as good if you do it that way versus the way they're currently doing it is right now, when they send this out there, it's kind of like they're pinging us. They're seeing if there's a pulse. Is anyone alive?
That's true. I guess you could
Is anyone willing to do it? Yeah, I just love too. They basically ask the source to side. They're like, you've got 3 days to complete this. And it's 40 questions long.
Yes, they do that frequently.
So in other words, when you're a business, you really, and if you're a contract officer, you got to appreciate this. I have a healthy respect for the difficulty of what you're going through, because on our side, it's the same thing, because we want to apply to like all of these, and they come in every day. Boom, 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 boom. They come in. And so we're like, okay, we got to get a handle on this. And we're getting pretty close.
It is. And I guess what I was mentioning earlier about that specific, it was like a criteria folder of, they had it in that weird format or whatever. I guess what I was saying is the more information I can give you, maybe even those type of documents, it will be able to one day pick those out in that format. And like you said, it might be 1 in 100. That's all I meant by that, is the more information I'm giving you, the more accurate this can be, no matter what the format is. And I think it is. I think it's capable of that. No matter what format it's in, Excel, DocX, PDF, whatever. It can. I mean, I'm impressed that it even a weekend after you built it, a week.
Yeah, it's a week. It's 7 days.
That it was able to take that criteria folder that I pulled up and pull questions from that. That was amazing. So, I mean, I don't know what this thing's capable of. I can't even comprehend.
So we also found, some of the quirks of working with AI that Tyler found. He's like, I can't find this question anywhere in here. So on one hand, he couldn't find it because it was so nested in there. Those questions, by the way, were like 8 font.
Yes.
It's so impossible to read it.
But even still.
So here's the crazy part. So he's like, I can't find this anywhere. It made up the questions.
It did. And I will say they weren't bad. It was kind of correlating with what they were asking, but they weren't really question format.
It did say
it was pretty cool how they did it.
It did prompt it by saying summary.
It did.
It did say that.
But I was impressed that it pulled it up, because I'm like, I'm not finding these actual questions, but it technically was related to the information.
Yeah. What I need to do is I need to go back and go take a look at our prompts. And you probably also need to take a look at and make sure that you maybe know the prompt, because I definitely do address some of this where it's like, if you do not know, then don't put an answer. If you don't know, then put this answer. There's some of that, but it still kind of listens. It kind of will listen. I don't think, I
don't know. For this early in development, it's amazing. I'm just going to say that.
It's amazing. Pretty amazing.
Because I could never have even come close. I couldn't possibly read Anywhere I couldn't possibly read 10% of what it's doing in a day. It's just not possible.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see sources sought that are 20, 30 pages. Those are on like the small side.
Actually, more often than not, they're 40 to 60. Okay, I'll go with 50. Let's reduce that number. 40 to 50. 52 seems to be a magic number. I see 52 a lot, actually.
Jeez Louise.
52 pages. And that's one attachment.
Hold up.
Sometimes they have 4 attachments.
Do I not have I don't have my phone. So I've quickly pivoted in such a way now that, they're people, I'm starting to gain this micro reputation amongst certain people that I went from extreme AI skeptic to AI hyper.
Mike loves AI. I'm just gonna put it out there. He's loving this AI.
So now I'm hype master on the AI. But here's maybe what you don't know from having done this. Okay, so if you scroll down just a little bit here.
Anything certain?
Actually, hold go just a little bit. Keep going. I wanted to get more of this kind of stuff. Okay, like scroll to like title. Go down so where the title's like at the top. All right. Okay, so all of this stuff, I had to manually set and do everything for this. I had to go like posted. Okay, in order to get the posted, go to this thing and get that. Okay, then deadline. Okay, deadline. It's in bold, and you get deadline from this object with this. So every single one of these, I had to manually map every single one of these.
Jeez.
But to collect that data, all I literally had to do was just tell the thing to go get the data.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, in other words, like when you are normally building like a computerized thing, when you're doing programming, you're having to do all the problem solving, every little nanoness of the problem solving. All I do to this thing is I have the return structure, when I'm saying, hey, you need to give me this set structure. But inside the structure, which it basically has each one of those, it's like the big JSON that I sent you before, it'll have instructions. And in the instructions, it tells it what to get, how to think about it, and whatnot. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't give it instructions on how to do it or anything like that. And then it goes through 50, 70 pages and just goes, oh, it's that. And then on the back side, I have a cleanup process because it may not find the deadline date, but it was in the other thing. And so I merge the official record that's basically in the system to what it found, and then that is what gets produced here.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay, so yeah.
The main point here is like the man hours that it would take to actually produce that from a development standpoint is maybe in the 6 months to a year. And it wouldn't be that good because every time they send us a document, it's different. There's no standardized process.
No, there is not.
Every single one, I don't know why SAM.gov hadn't considered it. It's like, here, this is the only format you got. Fill out all the fields. That's it. That's all you get. If they did that, we wouldn't even have this.
I've looked through so many, I don't even know at this point. But yes, the difference in them is sometimes mind-blowing.
I bet you this problem.
Sometimes all they want is our basic business information. I'm like, what are they going to find from that? But that's what they're asking for. I mean, so I do it. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what
they could be.
Like, they might be poking, like you said, seeing if there's anybody out there, and literally that's it.
Yes.
And I don't know. That's what I'm saying. There could be a much better way to do it, but this is how they do it, and I'm thankful for GovNet because it's helped me immensely.
Now, this is interesting. How is this on SAM.gov when they have when I see stuff like that, it makes me really
want... the email?
Yeah, the email. I'm not going to say it out loud.
Yeah,
when I see that, just makes me go, I really want to look at all the email addresses. Because right now, I could hop onto my shell and go, for every sources sought for the last, X number of years, give me every email for every single person. And I'd be able to go, whoosh, here it is.
Yeah.
Here's every email address. But when I see that, I'm just like, that's not even a US Gov email address.
I know.
Oh, wait, no, it actually,
no, it is.
No, it is. Never mind.
I was going to say, actually,
I was thinking more like Virginia. But that's not.
No, that's
not Virginia.
Yeah,
never mind.
No. I see what you're saying. I see now.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, what is this? Like their personal or
no,
their side?
I see what the mistake you made. I got it.
Yeah.
So we can go to
So yeah, GoviNet's been probably one of the, I would say, dude, I would say this has been transformational even for me.
I think that, like I said, you're really loving this AI thing. You're seeing how powerful it really is.
Dude, I started, so...
It's amazing. It just blows my mind.
So it's not, I'll tell you, it has certain kind of limitations. I'm starting to find what the limitations are. Like yesterday, I was, I like to do, and I'm becoming more like speaking into my phone, do voice to text, and then send that to the AI to go do something complex. Because otherwise I'm having to like click on my phone and all this kind of stuff. And so, do calculations, yada, yada, or do a bunch of research. And I was researching violin strings. And it was not very good. I was like, I want a giant list of all the different violin strings that are over $100 that are, and I want it in a table, and I want it to have a scale of how warm the tone is. Is it a bright tone or is it a warm tone? And I wanted to evaluate that based on, I wanted a giant list. It would just give me 8. And then it would be like one of each manufacturer. I'm like, okay, no, go back and do it again, except give me all of them within each one of those brands. Okay, no problem. Came back, same crap. So it's like AI is absolutely not a silver bullet.
No, it's not. But it gets you past the hump of.
Well, what we're seeing, which is why this has been transformational, some of the models are, whoa. Like the ones that are answering these questions are not the same one, is not the same one that's summarizing the data.
Yeah, because you have 3, or did you add another one? You have 4 now.
3.
3 models, okay.
I am looking at some other ones. I actually, this weekend, if I can ever stop doing all this stuff, I need to get that computer going.
You need a little more time, huh?
And one of the things I want to do, I need to go see if the server that flooded in the basement, it was within like flood zone, but it's literally been turned off since the water came in. I need to flick that thing on, and it's either going to destroy everything. Actually, you know what I need to do? I need to pull all the memory out. I need to pull the graphics card out and the hard drives, and just maybe the CPU and the motherboard will blow up. I'll let that happen because there's no fixing that. But all the other components, I'm sure they're fine. My biggest concern is that all the connections are corroded. So anyways, once I get that going, I actually was going to use this weekend to actually start experimenting on training our own AI models and or taking some alternative AI models for some of the stuff that we're doing. Because some of them are like really tailored around summarization, tailored around this or that, and we should be able to run them locally. So we may be able to improve some of these things. Like one of the things I think we need to improve on is we need to put it in UTrack. I think the matching is terrible. When I look at the actual numbers, the matching is terrible. It just needs
you mean, for instance, down here?
This whole section. This whole section. The overall may be kind of okay.
Like I told you, like for this one specifically, it'll give me 0, 50, or 100, and they're basically saying the answer is the same every time, and still give me those different values.
How could it give you 0?
Like I have. I mean, I saw one today.
It had no set-asides, and it gave you a 0? Mm-hmm. See, we need to put that as like a rule.
I know.
If there are no set-asides, or it's just small business, then give it 100.
I'm almost positive. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw a 0 at some point. I mean, I'm not going to scroll through all right here. There we go. No set-asides, but yet it gave me a 0. That's what I mean. It gives me 0, 50, or 100.
Which are not applicable here. Yeah, that's totally incorrect. But I gotta go through and better do this.
What I'm seeing though, I do like the overall. The overall is usually pretty sound. It's pretty spot on. The industry is usually pretty good. It's the location that can sometimes do a little bit of weird stuff. The contract type, like is it an IDIQ? Is it a vehicle period? That'll sometimes throw off the percentages.
I think what I need to do, I feel like when I look at it, I need to improve how it actually assembles. I mean, what did it give it as? It gave it 85. Is this, I mean, at the end of the day, is this an 85 match? 85 should be good. Like this,
that's really, really good. Like
this specific summarization, like this opportunity, is this good? Because if it's not, it shouldn't be an 85.
Yeah, and I'm
not. Let's go up to the top.
I'm not totally sure how it's giving that number, but a lot of times it does seem to be pretty accurate, in my opinion.
Right here. Oh, this is that one. Well, this one's kind of interesting. We could always send our thing and mention. There's two things we can mention here. We could mention enterprise test system, our rapid. Three things. Our node in layers. Actually, this is actually a really important point. I need to go put that in our business profile. Like some of these tools. Node in layers, because this right here they are open source oriented. Like this is an entity we really need to get to know. They're an open source. They're trying to push open source software and tools down to like help people or whatever. So one of the main tools that we use that we were able to build enterprise systems very quickly is called Node in Layers. Mm-hmm. And Node in Layers is like you can have an enterprise system like that. And it's very opinionated and you get all this stuff for free. It's like it's hard to actually articulate how much you get for free. It's things like the shell that I can literally go in and run any function in the entire system at my fingertips and tie it together ad hoc. I can debug the entire system anywhere, every single database model, like all instantaneous. I can do any random database query I want on the system. You get all this stuff for free. It's really lightweight. But it also has like the logging things we built in there. Because again, it has all this intelligence from like, especially 5 years of like grinding amounts of development. It has smarts about it. So like logging is one of the sickest things there. It has this like trace logging framework that we've been really pioneering about being able to like shove all of our application logs out into like a big data repository like Splunk. And from that and standardizing, okay, we're going to log the top of a function, the bottom of a function, every time we call out to a service, what went into that service, what came out of that service. I actually need to do that a little bit better right now in our current system. And from that, all of that just goes out there. So when you're like, oh, what is our system doing? Dude, you have like an ungoshly amount of data there and it's all strung together. So you kind of have to understand how this stuff goes, but you can go like, show me, it's a little more complicated than this, but show me every single thing that happened when somebody hit my endpoint. Boom. And the reason is because there's IDs at different points and it's carried along. So each time it makes a new log message, it's carrying the previous IDs along the way. So if you pass the first one, it will go all the way through and even all the way down in the code, it will still have that ID and then like pump it back out. It's stuff like that is like super powerful. So it's like they need to know about Node in Layers and they could possibly know about GovNet, but I would really say our GovNet capabilities is probably only for contract offices.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But, actually I say that the general capability of doing summarization, data ingestion, summarization, and matching, that's not an uncommon thing. And we could turn GovNet into a completely different system by changing the prompts and the core data that goes into each one of those
I can see
points.
that, the concept of the system. Yeah. I mean, I understand that.
I mean, you can make a social media website or not a social media, like a dating app.
There's a lot of different applications for it, honestly.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I had something in mind. I'm trying to remember. There's a lot of information to process, so sometimes it's like, let me get back to where my thought pattern was going here.
What did it say at NA? Let's go back. What does it say here?
No,
go right there.
Oh, right there.
This is one where these questions are very specific. You would almost have to answer each one of these questions for each one of those things that I just said.
Okay, I could see how that's
because it said
not really possible.
This is the rubric one. It doesn't know what solution we're even talking about. Although it invented one.
Yeah, maybe it just didn't have enough context in it.
It took our pass and like, yeah, you've got this amazing forensics framework. It's like, yeah, I could dust off 10-year-old code. I don't know if those are the forensics problems of the day. I could only imagine how much AI they're using on forensic data right now. It'd be mind blowing.
I'm sure it would. I'm trying to get down. Let me get to the next one.
Yeah, those questions are very specific
That's that
to
one. Well, yeah, and it probably just didn't have enough context to answer that.
They're not normal questions. They're actually saying, "Hey, do you have a software solution? Tell us about your software solution." That's what that is.
Yeah, with no background, how do you answer? I mean, how do you answer that?
You may almost say that our filtering may be too broad, because the question is whether or not should we be trying to find sources sought where they're looking for products or services.
Oh.
Because that's not the same.
No, it's not.
And that other one was a product one. What products do you have? What are you out there producing? We have an AI based network intrusion tool.
Actually, that was part of what I was going to tell you earlier. That brought up a good point. I saw one.
We need to know.
I need to find where I wrote that down.
Wish I had my phone on me.
What do you want me to do?
Oh. Create an issue real quick, and to basically we need a thing in the summarization that says, is this a service? Are they looking for a service, or are they looking for a product? Do they want us to evaluate products out there? You see what I mean? Like, that's got to be part of like the summary itself. Because then again, we'd be able to search, even if it's not part of this normal workflow, we'd be able to say, show me all the IT service contracts that are out there. Boom.
So that's what I was going to tell you. That was one issue that we haven't talked about yet. Like when we were talking earlier, it was like this one. Maybe I'm wrong, and our overall was lower on this one, but it was still above your 60% that you would like.
Yeah.
There's been a few. I mean, obviously, I know we have certain NAICS codes we go by. There are times where it's applicable to use something else that I've not seen.
Yeah.
But when I was researching this one a little bit more, this was a NAICS code. It was under administrative management, consulting,
which would never come up under computer stuff.
No, it would never. But I still think this one could have maybe been a little bit out of our scope of practice. So that's another thing I was thinking.
You're saying this should not have been included.
I mean, I want to look at it again because I went through like 8 of them earlier. But in my initial thought pattern, no, I don't think it should have been.
Okay.
Because I was looking at it and I'm like, I don't know about this one. And he even did put on there, which one was this?
If it isn't about building and running software, enterprise level software.
Oh, actually, I included
capabilities
in this file.
I would say that it's not a match.
Because it even said, where did it say that?
Oh yeah, overall.
Yeah, slightly outside core comp. I don't know if it was just slightly. I think it's a little more than slightly. It does talk about AI and machine learning and things like that, but I don't know. It didn't give me any answers for this one. This was a generic response.
that overall. Well, I mean, that just tells you right there. Maybe it is okay, but it's a good reason. Here's another thing I would recommend. We should put the matching overall up next to the summary.
I like that. I think they do include these in order of highest percentage overall.
I did do that.
Yeah, I did do that. That's what I've noticed at least.
But that's still pretty high, 75%.
It is. There was something I was reading about this, and then I was just like, I don't know about this.
Let's create another ticket and to improve that, and we might want to make the overall reason more robust, as in that they should provide more information that you should be able to say, okay, I'm not interested, based on the summarization and the matching criteria. You should at that point go, I'm going further or I'm not.
All right, I'm going to put this in parentheses so we know what we're talking about. The overall parentheses so we know. You said you want to have more context. Give me that one more time. The overall percentage points need to have more context or more...
Yeah, it needs to have more reasoning of why it put it at that level. That includes things maybe directly out of the document itself. And you can put it in the description. We also should move this up to the top, next to the summary. Like, why was this matched? I think we need to change the weightings or something, like somehow we need to change the matchings, because there's things that should just immediately disqualify something. We need those. And then there should be other things that it's like, it's there, but this other thing is driving it more. I kind of left it up to the AI to figure that out.
Let me see. I saw another one that had a weird NAICS code that I've never seen before. I don't remember which one. All right, that one's done.
Yeah, and I utterly refuse to program this to disqualify us because of NAICS codes.
No, I understand.
I was talking to somebody actually about work, about government contracting, and I asked him if he knew what our NAICS code was, and he was like,
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows what any of this stuff is?
This one actually wrote the NAICS code incorrectly.
Oh, it did?
541-990. It is a typical 541-519, which is one of ours. So that's interesting.
Are you sure that's the exact same one? You went to that link?
Yes, I just clicked on the link.
Yeah, go all the way down?
Right there. And this is what it put, 990. I'm not sure why.
Capture that information and put that copy from here up, create a new bug ticket, copy that, and then throw it in there.
Just say incorrect NAICS code.
Yeah. Yes.
And I totally agree. It shouldn't all be based on NAICS code. It's the overall, what are they asking for in this contract? I get that.
Yeah, what do they actually want? Are you able to provide what they want? That's what this tool is supposed to do.
And that's why searching NAICS code on here, it does get a little, like you're shortchanging yourself. I get that. It's for sure. Incorrect.
Well,
let's just go incorrect.
Is there any other kind of parting thoughts on our process?
I don't think so. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Like we said, this is only a weekend, so it's
we basically did 1 week. I think we've got it generally squared away on running. We'll see tomorrow. It should run tomorrow. And if you don't get an email, I'm gonna go crazy because cron jobs just drive me crazy. I hate cron jobs. So I got to fix that, or hopefully it's good. But then this is now the next week of like, now we're looking at the output. Now we're really starting to beat up on it.
Yeah.
And, tuning it. So,
overall, it's an amazing concept, and it can be applicable to other things too. But for right now, what we're doing, this is super helpful. And the bugs will get worked out. I mean, I have no doubt of that. You're going to probably have this thing to 90% within another week. I would imagine. Knowing you, no, I'm putting that out there.
I would say if I had a dedicated week, yes.
Yeah, I know.
But
that's what I mean.
But unfortunately, I don't. I've got a lot, especially this weekend. I've got a lot of things pulling on my time. Like tomorrow's smoke. Sunday we do music, and then it's like Monday.
It happens
that's
before
when
you know
that's
it.
when it's going to come. So, anyways, all right. Well, that's all for this podcast. Hopefully this was kind of interesting, a little bit of behind the scenes on, how we actually kind of make the sausage, and a little bit of our understanding and working with other people's sources sought, which is really, it's the wild, wild west, I would say. It's probably getting worse over time, but that's it. If you like this kind of thing, reach out, and, this is Leadership for Tech. We'll see you.